All right, so just to recap, I'm wearing a short sleeve button-up shirt. It's got flowers all over it.
Yep.
And
It's
underneath,
blue.
it's so hot. It's so hot out.
Super warm.
So underneath, I wore this like really lightweight white shirt.
Yep.
And then I put the overshirt on, and the undershirt, the sleeves are longer than the overshirt, so it's like two inches of extra shirt on the sleeves, and it's super embarrassing.
Oh boy. Guys, how hot would it be if I was also there recording?
Bro, if you were sitting right next to me right now, we would probably just be mad at each other.
Yeah. Got it.
In a world where shiny paper rules our lives and Dr. Pepper reigns supreme, you are here listening to the MoxStars podcast. Hello, everyone. I am one of your hosts, Evan Kunai, and I'm here with Jordan Garcia.
Yo, what up? Solid intro.
And across the way, we got Christopher Ritter.
Can we do a fourth take? No. You know what? Let's just roll.
All right, we're moving on. Evan, you did a great job. I'll take over because you're stammering. We guys are talking about the first sneak peek of a set I'm very hyped about, and that is Wilds of Eldraine coming up in the fall, as I thought, or just kidding, it's a few weeks from now, apparently. There's a ton of good shit to talk about, tons of reprints, and I think as a whole we'll be discussing as our main piece kind of our thoughts and kind of our perspective so far of the game design.
Our first impressions.
Yeah, some solid first impressions. But before that, got to shout out all of the plugs. We have our link tree to make everything easy for you guys. Go over to YouTube, give us a little subscribe button if you like watching giant moving pictures while we speak. If you're not on that vibe and you just like to listen to podcasts on your favorite platform, we are there. Just give us a freaking 5-star review. That'd be sick. If you want to chat with us, play games with us, brew buddies with us, we are talking about decks and all these spoilers coming out. Join us on the Discord. Link is down below. Otherwise, let's freaking get into it, boys.
Let's dive right in. We're starting with our pregame action. We're talking about the reprints from Wilds of Eldraine, and while there aren't any like major reprints in the like main set itself, we are seeing a lot of reprints in the Enchanted Tales section, which is focusing on enchantments.
Could not remember what that was called.
Yeah, so we're looking at a bunch of stuff here. We saw a few things like early on, like Rhystic Study, which is a great reprint. And today we saw 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 new cards on the reprint list.
Oh, shit. I did not see any of this, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so there are a lot of really great reprints. Some cards that I didn't think they would reprint so soon in a good and bad sense. So, but then cards that haven't been reprinted in literally forever are making an appearance here too. So let's just dive right in. We're getting another reprint of Sneak Attack. And the artwork is super cute. I haven't seen the like chibi or whatever the anime artwork for it yet, but I really like the Eldraine treatment for that one. There's a few others that are a little bit like it's been a while. Right? Polluted Bonds. Jordan, that was a card you played in your Yarick deck way back. It says whenever an opponent or whenever a land enters battlefield under opponent's control, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. Is that right? I think it's just they lose 2 life.
Bro, you were asking the wrong guy.
Nope, you do gain 2 life.
Yeah, whenever it comes into play under its player's control. Yeah, just insane, actually. That's just such a good thing.
But then there are a few enchantments that are getting reprints right now that we just saw in Commander Masters, and this is where I'm literally like shaking my head in my hands, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Land Tax, Grave Pact, were just reprinted.
Yeah, they've been
in
doing
Commander Masters.
They're on the like reprint train to knock some prices down.
It's like, hey, you guys got out there and you bought Commander Masters. We love you for that.
Wow, I just found the list. Holy shit! Can I just talk about there because there is one of these. I'm hyped about the anime arts, like all the anime variants. I'm gonna be picking up that Necropons. I'm gonna be picking up that Rhystic Study, and I just saw the Kindred Discovery. Holy crap! I am hyped for all this weeb art. I don't know why, but it looks so freaking good.
Yeah, Kindred Discovery is another reprint. It was just printed when Baldur's Gate dropped, and we have a few other things.
Oppression?
Oppression has been a long time since we've seen that card printed. And then we're getting another Bitter Blossom, so it should drive the price down even more. Great card.
Yeah, they are really trying to crush the prices of some cards.
Yeah, these are all cards, by the way, that when this drops will be legal in Historic on Arena. So that should be bear that in mind. Blood Moon will now be legal on Arena for Historic. So
very, very niche card here, but a fun reprint.
They do occasionally pre-ban things.
They did. They actually
true.
pre-banned Spreading Seas already.
Damn it, that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah. No, they pre-banned it. Sorry, dude.
I'm so excited for it. God damn it, I didn't know that. All right, moving on. Why didn't even talk about it?
Yeah. So a few other things. One card that I was really surprised that they reprinted, Fiery Emancipation. That card has just been steadily climbing in the market. So, I mean, at one point, you'd have to spend $30+ to get one of
Are you
these.
serious?
Yeah. And
What?
it's nearly unplayable in anything competitive, which is more or less what we specialize in.
It's barely even playable in like knock.
And casual, it's really hard pill to swallow. Like spend 6 mana and then just telegraph that you're going to be dealing triple damage on your next turn, or in your you cast it in your main phase and you're able to do triple damage for the turn. You're just putting a huge target on your back. But yeah, I think this is all very. A few of these cards are healthy reprints. They're necessary.
Yeah, I don't think Grave Pack need to be as expensive as it was.
Well, we're getting reprinted in Commander Masters alleviated a lot of that. I think it met a lot of needs. And then now we're getting it again, which if anyone had pursued Grave Pact in Commander Masters,
well,
sort of a feel bad.
I mean, don't be an idiot. It's easy enough.
Well, you never could have known. You would have never known.
I mean, those are exactly the cards I would not be buying and targeting. Is the cards that are expensive because they've only been printed one time.
Yeah.
Because if it does get printed again, it's gonna drop it, and if there's any chance that they'll print it again, then why would you ever buy that as an investment? Again, not financial advice. Don't sue me.
There's a really great card in here too.
Yep.
Defense of the Heart getting another reprint.
Huge.
Love it.
Yeah. I think it's like really playable cards across the board. Really cool to see Bitter Blossom in here too.
Yeah, Ritter, anything that you're loving from these reprints?
No, just really cool art. Like Jordan mentioned, the Necropotence art is really sweet. But besides that, I don't know. I'm not so upset about, the Commander Masters reprints being so near in time and driving down the price on some of these cards. At this point, you should know better than to be, looking at this as an investment vehicle in that way. Definitely anything that's not on the reserve list, it's such a risk that you're taking that it's not going to lose value and get reprinted into the ground. Right.
I think at the end of the day, I'm just happy that card prices go down. It's been going the other direction for a very long time, so I'll take the dub there.
Yeah, we've been printing cards.
Yeah, you know what? Land tax does not feel like a $40 card. It should be a $10 card. Get it there.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, and that is such a good point because we've been printing our own cards at FedEx for a while now, and so it'd be nice if I didn't have to spend $800 to build a commander deck. So now we are starting to make those strides there. There are still a few cards out there that we would love to see reprints of, but another one, Copy Enchantment, was kind of just like this old card, only been printed once, and it's
not an expensive card.
It's not an expensive card.
Like, it shouldn't be, is what I mean by that.
Yeah, and it's going to be $2, or less after this.
Yeah, I sat on one for a long time, and it was so cheap, and I never even paid attention just in my binder, and just like over the years, just kept creeping up and creeping up. But it's like all it needs is one reprint.
Yeah, none of this is financial advice, and like Ritter said, for any of these new reprints or anything like that, looking at them as like investment pieces is kind of like a risky play at the moment with how frequent we're seeing these. So I'm ready to move on. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, there's tons of new cards that have gotten spoiled that I am just extremely excited about.
Today, we saw the debut stream from Wizards of the Coast of Wilds of Eldraine, and they revealed 42 new cards.
Holy cow.
And so today we are giving our first impressions on a few of those cards.
Today we're going through 42 cards individually, one by one.
And first one, go.
In depth.
First one, go, completely random.
First one, I'll start off. I think this is great for green. It's been a long time since they've seen something that is going to be this effective in Standard, but it's Blossoming Tortoise.
Yo, I saw this too. This is crazy.
Yeah, that card rolls.
Yeah, this is a mythic. So 2/2 green, turtle creature, whenever Blossoming Tortoise enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Note that it doesn't say amongst the cards milled. You can reuse fetch lands or like Fabled Passage or whatever. Activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate. Creature or land creatures you control get +1/+1. Also, a very important note here in the rules text: activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate. They have to put in the text to say you cannot reduce the mana to less than 1. They have to print that, or it's not printed on the card. So if something says pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color, it's
not 0, or it is
0
because they specifically did not specify it for the one time.
Correct.
Order. I see.
So you can reduce the cost down to 0.
Fantastic
for lands. So I guess if you played a Shia and you had a creature that just said,
"Oh shit,
yeah, pay 1 mana for something."
I mean, CDH wise, I don't know, but like, there's a lot of gas elsewhere. Like other formats, I think are gonna have fun with this, and then I think you could definitely do some breaking it, no problem.
Yeah, if I was playing Zakama, I would be playing this like at the CEDH level. I feel like I could find a way to abuse this to continue like getting lands or whatever.
I mean, I could be completely wrong. Someone can come up with the line that just makes it viable.
Because all of my things are like activated abilities on lands, so it's actually an enabler for that deck.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not only just an enter the battlefield ability; it's when it attacks too. So it has that like Titan-esque sort of text.
Yeah,
there.
that's a good way of looking at it.
Really
Titan.
nice.
Yeah.
And I think it's just perfect in a Shia. Land creatures you control get +1/+1. Kind of cool.
I think it's very cool.
But it does enable a lot of these new man lands. Is that what they're called? Like
yeah, the creature-based land.
Yeah, they become creatures.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're playing this and you're in draft or whatever, and you get both of those, you just kind of sitting real pretty because it just costs that much less. Means you can spend that much more mana on your turn, hold it up, and then activate on your opponent's turn for like that sneaky block or whatever.
Yeah. So no, I think it's very cool. I got a card I want to talk about, and I think this is, as far as I can tell, I'm still kind of new to all these spoilers, so it's very exciting to go through. It looks like there was a line of legendary creatures at rare slots that have like some kind of tap activated ability, and I think this is really where we're going to start seeing some interesting new mechanics that we might be able to push. Just a reminder, back in the old original Eldraine days, like I felt like personally there was a lot of stuff that went unnoticed and unrecognized for a while, and then slowly but surely became prevalent in lots of different formats. And like even to this day, we still have a lot of Eldraine stuff. But this is a card I'm pretty hyped about. It is Yenna Red Tooth Regent for a 2/3/white legendary creature, Elf Noble. She's a 4/4, and she has an activated ability of 2 tapper. Choose target enchantment you control that doesn't have the same name as another permanent you control. Easy. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
If the token is an aura, untap Yenna.
Yeah.
Then scry 2. Activate only as a sorcery. So that seems pretty decent.
You can actually just chain. So it's if something that doesn't already have a name. So you could wild growth for free. Like if you're using if you target a wild growth, you can enchant the next land to tap for 2 mana. It would untap Yenna, and then you can tap it again using the new land that now taps for 2 mana to activate it again.
Yeah.
But you can't
hit the same one. You can't cheat.
Yeah, because you could just then enchant all of your lands with wild growth, which would be pretty insane.
But I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of flexibility, and there's just like it's something we haven't seen a lot, right? And you were even talking a while ago, Evan, just like we haven't really seen any like creative push in this direction towards enchantments, towards auras lately. A lot of times it's been like all that glitter effects, Boros aggro, go.
Yeah, and we're seeing...
Or like green-white enchantress. That's it.
Yeah, in this set there's a lot of cards with the new keyword, bargain, which is you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast a spell, and I'm sure that is supposed to be like an enabler because they also have roles. There's enchant creatures, they're token enchantments that are roles that say like mage or like monster role, stuff like that all give like different abilities. So there's going to be 1 million tokens.
I don't even know what the fuck you're saying right
I mean,
now.
also in CDH, you're going to have treasure tokens for sure, right?
Yeah. Yep. So you can sacrifice to that, and I think this bargain has legs.
Yeah, I like
sorry,
Beseech the Mirror a lot.
Yes, we were talking about this. This is very cool.
So that is 1 colorless, 3 black, and then you search your library for a card, and if it's
4 or less.
if the spell was bargained and the CMC is 4 or less, you may play the exiled card. Otherwise, put it in your hand. So it's rad. It's a tutor, and then it pays for your tutor target, presumably, right?
Yep. I mean, Evan loved the party card, right? Coveted prize.
Coveted Prize, which is still great, and more people should be playing.
Slept on, right? But this is essentially a higher intensive mana restriction and less of a build around restriction for a very similar card.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this whole bargain thing goes, because I think maybe we have seen, like the peak, or like because the mythics are usually like the chase cards where they try to like make that effect as powerful as they can. So maybe we've seen the peak, but I think there's still going to be even more that helps break that. Like Ritter said, in CEDH, we have treasures laying around all the time.
Yeah.
There are clues now,
Random
like that
tokens
are
everywhere.
Yeah. Like I think that also things just like going to the graveyard. A lot of these new cards actually care about enchantments hitting the graveyard, which is pretty cool. So like that bargain, if you have something that's just like recursion, I think like Teom could actually benefit from this quite a bit too. So we'll see where that goes.
It's pretty interesting. It's like the first time there's like a sacrifice payoff effect, a kicker type effect, if you will, that only revolves around non-creature, essentially, unless it's a creature token specifically.
Yeah.
You can't sack a creature to affect any of these bargains.
So the roll tokens, there are a few. There's the royal roll, there's cursed roll. So some of them have positive effects, and a lot of them have negative effects too. So the cursed roll is the enchanted creature is a 1/1. Still has its abilities and everything, but it's a 1/1. And so a lot of these effects are like, if you can remove that roll. The rolls also have the text written on them that if you were to enchant the creature with another roll, sacrifice the other roll and then enchant it again. So
essentially you can only have one at a time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You're gonna have one roll at a time. But there's some really cool stuff that's going to take advantage of that, and some cool things that are going to be able to take advantage of tokens, like this new legendary artifact creature. It's a food knight. It is Surginger, the Meal Ender.
I've been so hyped for this card. This is so great.
It's actually nutty.
Haven't even read it yet. I just love the theme. Let's go.
It is 2 mana. So Surginger, the Meal Ender, has trample, hexproof, and haste as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker. Whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Surginger and scry 1.
Damn.
Pay 2, sacrifice Surginger, you gain life equal to its power, because it's also a food. So,
damn.
Yeah, whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter and scry 1. I think that's just insane.
I feel like a lot of times you're just going to be sacking her and gaining like fucking 10 life or something.
Yeah, you can just sit around and wait for that to happen. I think that this is there was an uncommon from Baldur's Gate that had the same ability, or had a similar ability. Whenever you gain life, scry 1, or put a +1/+1 counter on it and scry 1.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't quite remember what it's called. Hopefully you guys can help us out in the comment section, or just do a quick Scryfall search for us. But it's incredibly powerful. It's a PDH. So if you guys aren't familiar with PDH, Pauper, EDH, it's one of the best commanders you can play, because it's a green and a white, and it says whenever you gain life, there's Soul Warden effects, like stuff like that. It just runs away with the game because you get so much more card advantage. I think that that's one thing that this card is going to present in Standard, in EDH, CEDH, potentially, is that whenever an artifact hits your graveyard, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you're getting card advantage. I mean, I liken scrying. Scrying 1 is half of drawing a card, right? Because you have the option to like leave it there, you have that information, or you put it underneath and you get to see a new card. So I think this thing has legs.
No, I think it's very cool.
Actually, it has horse. It's riding a horse.
It's got 4 legs.
It has 4 legs. 6 legs. It's just riding a horse. All right. Like Jordan said, there are a lot of legendary creatures with tapping abilities, which we talked about previously in a previous episode, just about untapping. It's actually the Lord of the Rings set we were talking about it, where untapping creatures is a powerful effect. Like being able to untap something and abuse those abilities can go crazy and nutty. So we're starting to see uncommons like Troyan, Gutsy Explorer. 1 a green and a blue legendary creature. Tap, add a green and a blue. Spend this mana only to cast spells with mana value 5 or greater, or spells with X in their mana value or X in their mana cost. You can pay a blue, tap it, and then loot. Draw a card and then discard a card.
So if
ahead.
you're going to untap it, it's mana positive, right?
Yep.
Notably, I believe there's a few cards that go infinite with anything that can produce more than 2 mana, right? Free from the real lines and stuff like that.
The only thing here is that you have to. It has restrictions on what you can
need the
cast.
mana to untap it. Yep. Disregard.
Yeah, because it's mana. The mana is restrictive. So there is that, but I do think that if there's an untap ability in this and you're drafting it, I think this can go wild for sure. Give you most of the mana you need to like take the top off the game. There's also Johan, Apprentice Sorcerer. If you 2 and a blue and a red, uncommon legendary creature is a human wizard. We're going to see a lot of those. So if you like humans, you're going to see a lot of them in this set. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. Once each turn, that's important, not during each of your turns. Once each turn, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from the top of your library. It seems good.
It seems cool. It's like kind of balanced Elsha of the Infinite.
Yeah.
But, it's an uncommon Elsha, essentially.
Yeah, and, there's a really cool mythic right here. 2 and a red legendary creature, human fairy. That's weird. Half-breed. The Fey-Blooded, Kellen the Fey-Blooded. It has an adventure and an ability. 1 and a white sorcery. Search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle.
Damn, that seems pretty good.
Seems pretty good. I think this card could have hammer time.
There's a number of cards in the set that care about auras.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just Ritter, this is your play style, or for one of your decks at least, but like that's a huge boon to the Boros equipment or aura strategy. There's only so many tutors you guys have.
Yeah, Ritter, I think this is actually kind of perfect for Yoshi, right?
Oh, because it's a legendary too, yeah. Because then on the creature side of it, Evan.
Yeah, the creature side, he's a 2/2 double strike. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to Kellen the Fey-Blooded.
Yo, that is actually sick. For 3 mana.
A lord, yeah.
2 mana into 3 mana too. This is a great card.
Yeah,
that's possibly a build around Boros like equipment commander.
You could totally just lean into that. I mean, the fact that you would have a 2 mana tutor for any equipment in the command zone is crazy.
Yes,
it's like a go wide Voltron situation.
Yeah, which even then, so you actually get both effects out of the command zone. That's insane. Because on 2 you tutor, on 3 you cast this guy, and you have a lord effect.
This is probably going to be a commander for a lot of people, but I think if you're already building with partners like Yoshi, this is another absolutely perfect addition.
I mean, I'll take a 2 mana tutor out of the command zone any day. That's insane.
Now, the next card I'm going to talk about is probably my star card from the set so far, just in it being undervalued immediately out the gate, because once I read it, you're not going to really think it's that great, but it's been a long time since we've seen this ability for this cheap. It's 1 and a green, Elvish Archivist. It is a 0/1 Elf Artificer. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Elvish Archivist. This ability triggers only once each turn. That seems strong right away, but it doesn't stop there. Whenever 1 or more enchantments enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Notably, those rolls are enchantments. So a lot of food, probably a lot of food generation in this set, probably a lot of roll generation in this set. So this card enables both of those strategies. In Standard, if you're playing the Enchantress, which is kind of popping right now, this goes wild for you. It's just card advantage, just stacked right on the It's Argothian Enchantress without needing the cast. Right?
It is a once each turn.
Yes.
Is the downside, but it has the major upside of getting kind of massive at the same time. I know, it's interesting, yeah, especially like you were saying, like it's going to be interesting to see this in like a draft environment. Like I think it's going to be amazing because if you're making food tokens and dropping enchantments in Wilds of Eldraine draft, like this thing is going to be an engine.
Yeah, I really think this is just going to like help you break parity. Even in Commander, I feel like if your strategy is built around like treasures or whatever, this can get really big and start punching really hard, but it almost gives you reason to play more enchantments than you normally would.
Which is why I'm pretty excited about this set. And like we were saying a little earlier, is like this is a whole new like fresh take on enchantments and on auras and just kind of you know a nice like shot in the arm for like stimulating that.
Is there a loop with Warehouse Tabby somehow?
What is it?
Speaking of enchantments, like is there a loop with it? Because whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, and there's no restriction on that, it's not once per turn. Create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block.
Whenever an enchantment?
Whenever an enchantment you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, create that token. And that's not a once per turn thing.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely some loops. There's like Boonweaver Giant loops that is like, I think, consistently casting. And so is actually, you know, it'd be interesting is reanimation loops, like with Gorian. What the fuck is that guy's name?
Eldraine.
Yes, that guy. Eldraine, and then and also the OG version of it, the World Gorger Dragon, right? Because that's essentially their reanimate spell is going to infinitely be going, so it's an outlet, a token outlet for that, you know.
Yeah. So what I think you guys are getting at is that this has the Cauldron Familiar potential.
Yeah, we totally do some of that.
Yeah. For every rat she kills,
Really
10 more take its place. There are a lot of cards that it's a lot of information to process. They're showing us a lot of mythic cards right out the gate to get us excited.
Lots of legendaries.
Yeah, there is a cycle that we're seeing called with Virtue. It's like Virtue of, and there's Virtue of Knowledge, just 4 and a blue. We've talked about it very briefly on the Discord channel, or on our Discord channel, like spoiler season. And this one is an enchantment with an adventure. The adventure is Vantress Visions, 1 in a blue, copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Hi, Mayor Fluffernutter. And if you are
Ritter's cat,
if you're casting this as an enchantment, it has if a permanent enters the battlefield. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Notice how it doesn't say if a permanent entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. If any permanent anybody controls, you know, if you're playing some sort of stacks or some sort of like way to abuse people for playing lands or whatever, right? Polluted bonds, so to speak. This is that Yarok ability.
I'm pretty sure that's the wording on most of them, is it not?
No, most of it is like if it's something you control enters, it triggers an additional time. But this one is like whenever anything enters, if it triggers something you control, it triggers an additional time.
Interesting.
So it's pretty cool. I also saw the white one, Virtue of something, but that was also pretty cool to see. Virtue. Oh, I'm blanking here. I can't find it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I'm not seeing it.
Embarrassing. Oh, God.
Virtue of Loyalty, 3 white. As the the adventure side, it is 1 and a white for an instant. Says create a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigi. And then the enchantment for 3 white. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures. We have another white Seedborn Muse effect.
That's why I like that card. That's a good card.
I mean, Seaborn Muse is 5 mana, right? The only difference is Seaborn Muse you can cheat out because it's a creature. But
and this has evasion. You can still cheat this out in some ways, you know, like Academy Rector style, but is that what you're going to go for?
You are not doing a good job if it is.
Yeah. So there's that. I feel like it's a hefty, like, it's not even that much of a reach to like have to cast it. I don't think it sets a lot of alarms off.
I mean, I think on a draft side, like even trying to like without trying to break it in CDH on draft side, like holy crap, 5 mana, adding a +1/+1 counter, which is great. We saw that in Felidar Retreat, right?
Yep.
And then on top of that, you have pseudo vigilance. You're untapping everything. Like,
yep. Yeah. It's like I'm gonna punch you, and then main phase 2, I'll cast this.
That's some pretty hot topic.
Or in your end step, I will, because the soldier creation or the vigilance
Is
an instant.
Yep.
So you can, on your end step, do this, reveal that you have it essentially.
Swing for the 2 on your turn, play this, and you get a counter on it.
Yep. And
pretty nice.
There's also a new counter spell in the set. So this is actually going to be great for countering all of these adventures and playing around those.
Oh, snap.
But it's 1 blue. It's called Ice Out. And it has Will on it for the promo art. But it has bargain. So you can sacrifice a artifact or enchantment or whatever. And if you bargain it costs 1 less. And it's just counter target spell. So for the set, for the draft, for standard, this is actually going to be pretty hot.
Okay, so the promo arts is very cool because it has Will on Ice Out, and then side by side it has Rowan's card. But this is very weird to me because they created a new blue card that is the counterpart to the card that they printed for Rowan, which is Pyroblast.
Which makes me think that they're going to put Pyroblast in standard.
Right, but I was like, but Hydroblast was right there. Like you made 1 new card and then paired it with 1 card that already existed.
Well, notably, we'll see this coming forward. The leak has already confirmed it, but Rowan is no longer blue. Rowan's red and black in the upcoming
Black
set.
red, yeah.
Yep.
Red, okay.
And Will is white blue. So
Ooh, spicy.
Yep. So they're opposing forces. They're warring against each other, and that's part of the story.
Spoiler alert, I only started reading the first part.
Oh, oops.
Guys, can we talk about Rowan Scion of War?
Yeah, I just can't find it on my source, but you're more than welcome to read it off.
Yeah. 1 black red, legendary creature, human wizard, menace. Tap.
You love it.
Spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. It's a 4/2. That sounds awesome.
That does sound awesome.
It sounds like you drop. Yeah, play Ad Nauseam. You're playing Ad Nauseam already, and then everything in your hand is discounted.
But massively. Like, not even just a little bit, right? It's
it costs 25 less to cast.
Yeah.
Is this just like significantly better like Rakdos Lord of Riots from a million years ago?
Yeah, and I will say that Will is not nearly as good because he also has basically the same text on him, but he says for amount of life you've gained this turn. So a lot harder to pull off. It's a lot easier to lose life than it is.
Lame and bad.
Yeah, so even just a Shockland, like in Historic, I feel like this is going to be a great Historic Brawl Commander because, you hit those lands, those pain lands, something, right? It just, even playing Phyrexian Arena is great there because it's just, every spell, every turn costs 1 less as long as I tap my commander. So I think there is something with that there. Like you were talking about legendary creatures that have tap abilities. I thought you had already saw this. That's why I thought you were leading into something.
No. I have 2 other cards I want to talk about. I think we maybe talk about like kind of our vibe check alert.
Yeah.
So we have I don't know what she's supposed to reflect. She was the Wicked Witch, the poison Snow White, area of the Charmed Apple. We've seen this art for the promo art for a minute. It is 1 white black for a human warlock, 2/4. And it's more enchantment aura stuff, which I'm hyped about. Each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control cannot attack you or planeswalker you control. We've seen a lot of these cards where it's like, hey, benefits if you want to go do other people, like enchant other people's shit, but it's usually pretty bad. And this one is pretty cool because then not only do you get to make them not attack you, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of auras you control. So
you can actually just stall someone out.
This will go crazy, yeah. And every time somebody tries to just kill you, you're just like, hey, that's enchanted now. Go hit somebody else with it.
You know how earlier I talked about the cursed roll? There are cards in the set that we've already seen that put the cursed roll on creatures your opponents control. So
are they technically auras?
Yeah, they are auras.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
So you'd be putting that on there. The creature's a 1/1 now, and it can't attack you.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah,
it kind of goes wild. But you can also put any roll on it. Like, you can put the royal roll on it and gets a benefit. But, hey...
But it's not coming at you. Like,
what are you doing with that benefit?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, so no, it's a fun new take in an Orzhov deck. So I might build this for, like, cash. And the other thing I want to talk about was we got a cool new big dragon. And it's actually, I think, kind of updated to today's stats. It's
really good.
A little more relevant. Realm Scorcher Hellkite. We got a new Hellkite. 4 red. He's got bargain. He's also got Flying and Haste, 4/6, which is awesome. ETB, if it was bargained, add 4 mana in any combination of colors. So sacrifice a artifact, an enchantment, or a token, and essentially you got a 2-mana dragon with color filtering. In addition, if you don't have anything else to cast and you want to just sink some mana into it, it has 1 in a red. Realm Scorcher Hellkite deals 1 damage to any target.
Yeah,
That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, most notably, you can't reanimate it and get that for whatever mana. It has to be cast because the bargain is a cast.
Is on
trigger.
a cast.
Yeah.
Yes, but I just think we've seen all of these big old dragons from the old days, and they just have a lot of irrelevant abilities. But like even fire breathing is just it's not exciting. Fire breathing is not exciting anymore. It doesn't do anything. But 1 in a red dealing 1 damage to any target. It is fire breathing if you want to be, where it's unblockable fire breathing, or you just start nuking the board.
Yeah, I think Magda.
Does this play in the decks that care about pinging?
Yeah, I think you could. I think you require 1 less step to winning the game with Magda now.
I could definitely see this in Magda. That'd be,
so
again, you don't get the bargain, but I don't know. There's definitely some options there. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters because a lot of the time when you're going off with Magda, you have to assemble some loops that require, sometimes 2, 3, 4 pieces, multiple Magda searches, where if you can generate infinite treasures or whatever, you can now play Clouds. Can you play Cloudstone? You probably play Cloudstone, generate infinite treasures, and then just now feed infinite mana into this.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it is essentially just another outlet, and Magda has no issue getting infinite mana.
Yeah, I think it just opens up a few more slots. If you wanted to pivot to this as your option for infinite outlet to deal infinite damage, you can actually open up a few slots to either stack the board a little harder and sort of guarantee your line.
Yeah, that's right. Because you start with the Clock of Omens, artifact Dwarf Loop. You usually get all tapped artifacts, and then you usually sack those to Magda to find a win. But a lot of times they sack the first search after that is getting what's his face. Academy manufacturer, so that now you should get untapped artifacts, and then you can start having infinite mana in addition to being able to do all your stuff. So then you just go find this guy, and then jam out a ton of damage. Additionally, maybe you only have 1 search because stacks creatures are hurting your game plan. Maybe you get to the point where you just sneak out 1 dragon, 1 Magda activation, and then all of a sudden dealing 2 damage for 4 mana is enough to kill the opposition agent or whatever that comes in your way.
Yeah, I think for a long time we didn't really respect dragons. I think that Magda sort of opened our eyes a little bit to that, and then now this last tournament at Surfside Showdown actually has me so curious with the Scion of the Ur-Dragon. It's what can this do?
Yeah, you're not wrong. That guy, you played a lot of dragons and did it to quite some success, so it was very cool to watch. Sweet. Any other cards specifically we want to talk about?
Ready to move on to the vibe check?
Vibe check.
Vibe check. Let's go.
I love when we just come up with segments on the fly. Ritter, what's your vibe check? What's your vibe so far? You got a little taste today.
On Wilds of Eldraine?
No, just
I like it. I kind of want to draft it.
I kind of want to draft it too. That's what I was thinking.
So
more than anything else, I just want to draft a bunch.
What Wizards has been strong about is just set design, and this set design, it seems like there's fun mechanics. It seems like it makes sense as a set. It tells a story. It does all the things that with an enclosed setting, it does right. Are there any things that I'm super excited about in terms of throwing it in decks? A couple things, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen anything that's I have to build that commander. This needs to go in my CDH deck, something like that. Yeah, it's exactly the way you said. It's more of I'm hyped for the vibe. This was one of my favorite sets from before, so getting to circle back to it, seeing the Sir Ginger food meal ender, the food night, just that shit makes me happy. I love that stuff.
Yeah, when do we see the full set spoiled?
That's a good question. Do you know?
I don't know when it's fully going to be revealed, but I know that next week is when we start getting the consistent spoilers. They usually do that where they do 1 spoiler session, 1 debut stream, and then a few days down the line they'll start doing the major of the bulk.
So it's releasing September 8th. So I imagine about a week before. So we're looking about maybe 2 more weeks of spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, plenty of leaks happening so far. So if you have been keeping your ear to the ground on Magic the Gathering, just in general, if you're following the subreddit, Magic TCG or whatever, I'm sure you've seen some of those leaks. It's hard not to. I think when people make those posts, it's hard to like avert your eyes, even though they're all fuzzied out until you click on it. But this set for me, the vibe has me curious. And I think because most of the time, I think I've got my own playstyle like down pat. Like I think I'm looking for cards to add to the deck that I'm currently playing to make it better. But more than anything, it has me curious because I'm seeing new lines, and I think that just lends to like how like the set design and how everything is like coming together is like they've realized that they sort of like. They really funneled a lot of resources into making Aftermath and Phyrexia happen, make that storyline happen. And now they're taking that step back and implementing a lot of new mechanics where I can read the cards and I know what the text says. In my brain, I can theorize, but I'm also scared shitless because I don't quite know what it all means yet.
Yeah, you don't know what the card does yet.
Yeah.
Which, like,
in its full scope.
That's super exciting to me, and that's what I love about like new sets sometimes, and what I feel like we've been honestly lacking for like the better part of a year is either you get a spoiler and it's like that's trash or that is broken, and those are the two things we talk about, and only one thing makes us excited. But there's like, I don't know if it's necessarily broken, but there's a lot of new words and new mechanics and new interactions and stuff. And like that as like a deck builder and just a general overall Magic enjoyer, like that's the shit that makes me excited. You combine that new mechanics and interesting mechanics with, a fun set full of flavor and design. Like that is what makes me excited.
Right. While we can complain all we want about
fun and low
things,
stakes.
Fun and low stakes. Yeah. Like we might just want to draft it and have a great time and draft it like a bunch of times, or like maybe like the last Eldraine, maybe something the cream starts rising to the top, right? And we start finding out maybe this actually is like CDH viable, or this completely flexes out another slot because it's just better. Like we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised by all the new decks appearing at tournaments, people trying new things, and that's ultimately how this game grows. So to be able to give us new material like this and have it feel so fresh is, well, refreshing.
Quite refreshing.
Hey.
Yeah.
Any closing notes, boys?
Closing notes. I thought that siren sound I did was incredibly realistic.
Spot on. I thought we were being invaded.
It was great.
I have one last note, and it's because I saw it on Reddit just now. It is the new, or I guess new art of Liliana of the Veil. The one
the
3 mana
art.
3 mana Lily.
Where? Why? What?
New anime art of Lily.
It's getting reprinted.
It's going to be. I don't think it's the same deal. It's that style that they're using for the Enchanted Tales, but it's going to be I think it's an RCQ qualifier promo.
Yeah, I hate those
because they're super fucking expensive.
Yeah, I love them because they're all beautiful and they're all wonderful, but I hate them because they're unattainable.
Yeah, guys, go look this stuff up because holy God, it looks sick.
I mean, we just got to commit ourselves to going to those tournaments.
Of course, we just have to learn a completely different format, invest in it heavily, become good at it, and then go win those.
Yeah, this summer has been an alligator death spin, so you know what I'm saying? Like we're wraps on a hunk of meat and just start spinning. That's what this summer has been.
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. On that note, if you guys would like to support the show, you can do so by liking, subscribing on YouTube, and if you don't want to watch a rolling graphic, you can find us on all major podcasting platforms where you can leave us a 5-star review. Goes a long way to having new people find the podcast and listen to the show. And we appreciate all of you guys listening. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you really do have a wonderful night.
Okay, we gotta go before it gets too mushy.
Yeah. God,
have a beautiful evening.
Just have the best day.
Enjoy the weather.
Enjoy the super hot, unrelenting weather.
Have a wonderful dinner. Just a glass of wine. If you're not quite 21, just don't do that yet. But you'll get there. You get there.
Only do drugs if you're under 21.
Thank you. Thank you.
And enjoy yourself a nice crisp Dr. Pepper.
Never forget. All right, guys, I'm going to cut us off now before Evan keeps going. Thanks all for listening. This has been the MoxStars podcast. Peace.
Bye-bye.